So I'm going to talk about information architecture, and just so we're on the same page, information architecture is the science and sometimes even an art of organizing things for other people to use. So the second thing I said is actually quite important because everybody organizes things slightly differently and we all need to use the same system. I had a fight with my girlfriend once. When we moved together for the first time, she realized that I have a ton of books lying around. And I'm the kind of person who has them organized the way I like them. The way I like them sometimes doesn't make sense to anybody else apart from me. So I had Harry Potter sitting beside Lord of the Rings simply because, well, A, that was the last thing I read, and then B, they're kind of two small dudes going on adventures. I thought it made sense. So when we moved together, she said, "No, Arty, we need to organize all this mess how normal people do it, by genre and author and, alphabetical index." And I was like, oh, no. My beautiful system that works so well is being destroyed by other users. Who knew? So we did. I did concede. We did organize everything by genre and name and, alphabetically and so on. However, I fought really, really hard to leave a small cache of the most useful books for me on the top, which was not organized at all. And ironically enough, eventually most of the books that we organized in this amazing order did make themselves kind of into that cache and became unorganized again. So the great thing about the story is that it illustrates perfectly what information architecture is and what's it for. Also, it's not true. I don't really have that many books at home, but I would like to. So why information architecture? Why do we need it? The sheer volume of stuff all over the place is growing at an exponential rate. For example, we have about 800 million articles on Wikipedia right now, and 800 articles are being added every single day. On Instagram today, we have 40 billion images with all the associated metadata, and 95 million are being added every single day. So it's pretty mind-blowing, right? I'll leave that there for a while. So if it took me, just to put that into context, if it took me to download every single image on Instagram right now, and it took me 1 second, I would be sitting here for 1,268 years, providing that all the uploads stopped for that time. And what makes everything worse is that internet is not this anymore, it's not even this anymore, it's more like this. Do you want a Bluetooth speaker that is connected to the internet on your toaster? Yes, you can. You can have that now. So what is actually involved in being an information architect? What does it build on? What do I do day to day? Let's do a small experiment. What color is this?
Orange.
And this?
Orange.
And now over here.
Orange.
Excellent. Thank you, James. So we realize now. So we realize now that orange, and even variation that I had over the course of the rehearsals when people started shouting out stuff like peach, and so it doesn't quite serve the purpose. It's not very useful when talking about colors. So we need to have a system in place. And Pantone came up with a really great system of naming their colors like this. So we have the number, which is used in back-end processes to organize things, and then we have those kind of arbitrary at times and sometimes silly names of colors. So we have joyful orange, whatever that means. I had, I saw like midnight night blue. Like, what is that? But it serves one important purpose. When you're talking to somebody else who has already seen that color, you have common understanding. You know what that color is. And if you go and ask for one of these different types of oranges, you know what you're talking about, your partner knows what you're talking, your contractor will get the right bucket of paint, and the guy at B&Q knows exactly what you're talking about. So this forms the first pillar of information architecture. And ontology is the philosophical science and art of giving something meaning. Here's an example on our own site, the super homepage, loved by everybody. So we organize things in a reasonable manner. We have the money vertical, which kind of makes sense because you have loans and credit cards in there. You have insurance, travel, energy, and so on. However, and I really love this bit, what is that? So I know that this is an Apple logo. Hello, Apple people. And I know that this is an Android logo, but I bet you 99% of our customers don't actually realize that this is our MSM Go app landing page. And before you think that we're not doing anything about it, here's the next version of our nav, which is slightly better organized, has a new look to it, and you can still get to the MSM app landing page as well, but it makes more sense. And ontologies, you can see a good ontology straight away. You don't almost even notice it. Everything just starts to make sense. And they range. They range between fairly simple ones for small websites to extremely mind-bogglingly complex, like this. This is an engineering, aircraft maintenance ontology for parts. It takes into account things like types of parts, times, processes, key personnel, how long a process takes to run, and so on and so on. And from those systems we design, we can start making systems of our own. And a button, for example, can start to be an ontological reference point, an anchor. And then out of that, going down that line, we will have buttons that are ghost buttons, buttons with arrows, different types of buttons, and so on. But I'll let Steve talk about an even better way of doing it. And a bad ontology can be very, very dangerous when you don't have this common understanding with people. In 1990, Avianca Airlines Flight 52, carrying 158 passengers on board, crashed and killed everybody on board. The misunderstanding began when the aircraft was ordered to land, and the pilot said, "We are running low on fuel." Okay, we can understand that this is a pretty serious situation, but the traffic control didn't understand the severity of the situation, because running low on fuel can range from a little bit to, oh my god, we are going to all die. So they told the aircraft to take another try at landing because of the weather conditions. The last words the pilot said to the traffic control were, "One of our engines is conned." So there are two problems here. What does that mean? And then they disappeared from the radar screens forever. So not only the traffic control had no idea of the severity of the situation, they didn't actually quite understand what happened to the engine. Was it on fire? Was it smoking? What was going on? And it wasn't until, so keep in mind, that was 1990. It wasn't until 2011 that aviation standard English became a thing. And today, if a pilot was experiencing some sort of an emergency, he would say pan pan. Or if they were literally falling out of the sky, he would say mayday, which is the highest rate of emergency. And that way the control tower would know exactly what they need to do and what paperwork and people they start to bring together. So that got dark. Anyway, next bit is taxonomy. And we take our ontologies and we put them into taxonomies, and a taxonomy is basically the art of organizing and categorizing things. So, for example, if you were going to go into a shopping center, like a supermarket, to get a bar of chocolate, would you, A, look for Swiss chocolate together with Swiss cheese and Belgian chocolate with Belgian beer, or would you go straight into the sweets aisle and find the bar of chocolate you're looking for? It's number 3, by the way. And your chocolate is going to be sitting with other sweet things, and it's going to be called sweets, or sugary treats, but not treats, because, well, chocolate, treats, and dogs, they're kind of connected, and somebody somewhere out there is probably going to poison their dog sooner or later. So it's important to organize and label things correctly. Speaking of dogs, this is another way of explaining taxonomy, and it's a really great one. So we have a bunch of dogs there. I can organize them by their ontology, but their names alphabetically. I can categorize them by types of dog, breed, size, country of origin, and it all depends on what your users need and what they want to see. Coming back to our nav, we organize things by the vertical, as I said before: insurance, money, energy, and it broadly makes sense. And this is something we're looking to improve in the future, but these can be organized in an even better way. So, for example, do we need another category for business insurance or business-related insurance services, like business, landlord, and something like that? And it does get a little bit muddy. So when we're not organizing dogs, but things on the web, it does get quite complicated when things start falling into different categories at the same time. So travel insurance, for example, will that sit in travel or insurance? I don't know. How about medical travel insurance, health insurance, all those things? It does get quite muddy. Another example I found is amazing. It's the British film industry website, and it is the perfect example of how not to do things. I was raging when I was like on this page, and it's a gold mine. So first of all, you know how people find movies by normal things like genre and year of release, directors, actors, all those fairly common things? Well, not in this case. In this case, we have a bunch of stuff stuck into loosely defined themes of 10 great serial killer films and 10 great journeys that people made. And my personal favorite is 10 great films about immigration and immigrant experience with Paddington the Bear as the front cover. Amazing. So I tried to do an experiment, and obviously when doing research for this talk I was a little bit biased and I was already pretty upset with the website. So I asked one of my colleagues to do it for me. I said, look, Trainspotting is a great British film. It is ought to be on the British film industry website. Could you find that for us? Spoilers, not a chance. Like, without using search box, it is impossible. He was clicking around for ages and ages and ages. Now I'm not dissing the search box, that's the main method of navigation, but for example, if you landed on the page from Google and you forgot where you the journey you went through, be prepared to pretty much never see that page ever again. In contrast, IMDb also has a search function. However, here finding Trainspotting is fairly simple. You go into AZ index, genre, drama and thrillers and drama, scroll, 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 and here you go, you've got Trainspotting. Easy. And when I'm talking about taxonomy, it is not necessarily always about clusters of related content, and it is not always about organizing things into alphabetical order. Here we have a great example of taxonomies. This is from Travel Supermarket page, the filters. I find them amazing because when I want to go on holiday, I want to find a hotel that suits the theme of my holiday. And they have themes like boutique, design, countryside, eco-friendly, family, shopping, romantic. So they clearly did talk to their customers and did say, look guys, when you're looking for a holiday, when you're looking for a hotel, what are you looking for? And that's what they got, and this is great. And the last example is our car insurance question set. So we all know that filling in forms online is really not the greatest experience ever, no matter how amazing the form is and how well it's organized. So our aim is to cluster thematically related questions into sensible categories so people don't feel like they're jumping all over the place, and their experience is therefore a little bit smoother than it could have been. And the final layer, if you like, is choreography. Choreography dictates how exactly all parts of the information system interact with each other and work with each other. So like in dance, we pretty much organize where all the players in kind of metaphorical sense are at all times depending on context. And choreography also covers quite a lot of different things to do with psychology, of searching for information, retrieving information, the different contexts, mental models, and so on and so on and so on. But I'll do a brief sort of overview. These are two great examples on Amazon and BBC. On Amazon, when you're looking at the product, you're always given suggestions of similar products and products that are bought together. This is how the system kind of brings up this information that you might not even want, or you didn't know you wanted, but some people click on there and that works for them. And on BBC we have this thing on the right where the most important, the most read stories, they're positioned on the right, so for quick access. And what's better, they have sometimes a live coverage of an important story. So it's right on the homepage. You didn't know something happened, now you know. Now you can follow it in real time. And choreography also deals with a lot with mental models, or what kind of users want to see or what they expect to see when they come to a website. An example of that would be this. This is our car insurance results. Now, we have different comments, and quite a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of stuff, I don't want to. Fine, we can remove some stuff. But most of them have this mental model of, I come to a comparison website, I want to see a lot of comparisons because that's what I'm in the market for. And even though pretty much all this can be deleted because the conversion there just drops off the cliff dramatically, we leave it on. We leave it on because that is the mental model of our users. Although we are experimenting in that space, so keep an eye out for different kinds of stuff on that. And last good example is the IKEA. IKEA is, when you walk in there, first thing you see is this. First thing you see is this amazing showroom of all the furniture designed to give you meaning and context of where that furniture could sit, what kind of settings, context, and so on. You have a meaningful experience. You go from living room to bathroom to office and so on. But the downstairs is organized into a taxonomy. So above is ontology for meaning, and then downstairs is a taxonomy that is organized by serial number. When you get this little pen and paper and you start jotting things down, this is the choreography. This is how the two are connected. And I know that quite a lot of people kind of complain about the maze-like structure of IKEA, and but I don't think you can't really argue with psychology. The longer you spend in that maze trying to figure out where the nearest exit is and the toilets are, the more likely you are to buy something. And that's my latest purchase. It's a little crocodile that looks totally amazing. So wait. I hear you cry, what is this? An information architecture talk without a complex diagram of boxes and arrows and bits and pieces flying all over the place. Yeah, fair enough, there you go. This is the menu that I showed you earlier, but this is how it looks when I'm trying to organize it and try and figure out where things go, where each label sits and how they're all connected. So they are the labels are organized in an ontology, like car insurance, for example. They're put into a taxonomy. At the moment it is the most likely to be clicked things go to the top and then into a vertical. And then the layer on top of that, how everything comes together, is a choreography. Yes. So, let's chill out for a sec. Good information architecture pretty much pays for itself. And I often find that it is not the information itself that is delightful for the customers. It is how it's organized. So sometimes it is a bit like being in a crazy maze when you can't find an exit and you don't know, oh, do I need to go to the office things? Like, is it like a block back that way? And it's really confusing. People get really frustrated. But at other times, it's like sitting together with a little cup of coffee in your local library and you know where everything is and it's an arm's reach away. And the whole experience is simply pleasant. So if you are going to take anything away from this talk, let it be this. Don't be IKEA. Don't be the crazy, horrible, confusing maze. Be that little library. Whether it is with your books at home, or with your socks in your drawer, or designing websites. Whatever it is, aim to be that nice, cozy, pleasant library. Thank you.